There's an ongoing process at Blizzard to update and upgrade the website, and it looks pretty spectacular. Here's a peek at the threes ladder. As you can see, the current threes ladder. I wonder if you guys see anything suspicious here or anything kind of out of whack a little bit. Like if I was in a casino and I had a choice of playing red or blue, I think I'm going to win if I play red. What do you guys think? How's it going, everyone and everybody? My name is Luxeley, and I want to thank you in advance, just in case I forget at the end of my what's probably going to be a very long rant. I want to thank you guys for tuning in, choosing this video to watch, and more importantly, keeping an open mind throughout things, just so we're on the same page here. What you saw in the beginning, where I was scrolling through the top 100 slots and the threes ladder on the US servers, was two things, two discrepancies that I happen to find very alarming, and I'm going to get to why in a little bit. But the two things are, one, 100 of the top 100 slots ranked in the threes ladder are Horde, which is very alarming. What's even more alarming, 2/3 of that top 100 are orcs. What does this tell you? This is nothing new to WoW PvP. This kind of faction imbalance has existed for a very, very long time. Sometimes it's the Horde, sometimes it's the Alliance. But right now, the pendulum has swung way, way too far to the Horde side. And it's going to be problematic if Blizzard doesn't fix it. Right now, Blizzard doesn't even acknowledge that this is a problem, which is really, really bad. But my hope is that if you guys go out there and you share this video and you pop it in different places, who knows, maybe somebody knows somebody who knows somebody who knows Helenka, and he'll hear this and he'll say, wow, yeah, 100 of the top 100 players in the threes ladder in the US are Horde. 67 of them are Orc. Those numbers don't make sense. I mean, the reality is this exists because of theory crafting, which is good for the game. Don't get me wrong. It's very good. Matter of fact, a guy like Swifty, one-shot macro is your perfect example of what theory crafting is. It's somebody who basically mixes and matches different abilities to come up with an edge. Not a huge edge, maybe a 4 to 6% edge in PvP. And to be honest, in a regular battleground like you see here with Alterac Valley, no, it's not going to make a difference. It's not going to make a difference in skirmishes. Matter of fact, it's not even going to make a difference in lower level arenas. But it does make a difference once you get north of 2200, because your competition is so fierce and so intense. People don't make mistakes regularly, and they coordinate very, very well because they're very used to playing with each other. That 4 to 6% edge really comes into play. So what ends up happening is somebody who has some very good accolades and very good achievements and credentials in PvP, he comes up with a video, or he talks about something on a stream, or he hits the WoW forums or the MMO forums and explains what you need to do in order to get to 2200, race, build, etc., and he theory crafts and puts things together. And all the players that feel challenged to improve and be better say, hey, we got to go Horde, we got to go Orc in order to have an edge. That's what we do. I mean, they did this back in Warlords of Draenor the Fun, except it was the human race that had the edge. And Blizzard took the PvP trinkets, and instead of putting the DPS trinkets on a 2-minute cooldown like they had many, many times and many years before, they put them on a 1-minute cooldown, which meant that your on-use DPS trinket and your proc trinket were kind of in perfect sync with your short-term buffs, and you didn't have to get at it, have that get-out-of-shit trinket to get yourself out of trouble, because your human racial did that for you. So you had a bit of an edge, and it was probably more than an edge that the orcs have right now. So all of a sudden, people start to switch. Okay, back in Warlords of Draenor the Fun, they were like, okay, we got to be human, and now it's okay, we got to be orc, because it's the orc racial mixed in with a few PvP talents that's saying, hey, this is going to give you an edge. And there's nothing wrong, like I said, with looking for an edge. We all do it. That's what makes winners winners. They're looking for that edge. They're looking for that extra 3 to 5% or 4 to 6% to put them over the top. I don't want to start ragging or bitching or complaining about Legion. I defy you guys to find a tougher, more consistent critic of World of Warcraft and Blizzard than myself. Find that guy who still plays the game, who's never been unsubbed to the game, dealt with all the bullshit that Blizzard's thrown my way by not letting me in the Legion beta and literally crippling my YouTube channel as a result, and yet still play the game and still promote the game in a positive light. On a scale of 1 to 10, I give Legion a solid 8 from a PvE standpoint. The questing is phenomenal. The zones that they put together are an improvement from Warlords of Drain All the Fun, and Warlords of Drain All the Fun was a huge improvement over MoP. So Blizzard is pushing the envelope. They're improving the graphics, they're improving the texture, the overall look and feel of the zones, of the leveling zones, and I applaud that. From a dungeon perspective, they made dungeons relevant again. They tell the story, they progress the story, they're very imaginative dungeons, and Blizzard made a pledge that they're going to continue that trend of introducing dungeons and making them relevant, and I kind of believe them, even though they don't do half the things they say they're going to do. So I'm very, very optimistic about the dungeons, and even raids. I mean, Blizzard stepped up and improved raids in Warlords of Drain All the Fun. Now, I'm not the perfect person to talk about raids here, but from what I've heard from other people, my subscribers, my followers, people in guilds, people I know online that play the game, Blizzard's done a very good job with the raids. I mean, the biggest gripe that raiders have is that they just want to have enough content. They don't want to deal with a 12 to 14 month drought at the end of the next pack that they dealt for the last 6 or 7 years. Probably that's going to happen again, but you're going to be looking forward to content, and that's pretty important. And that says a lot right there. Not having more of something you want might seem like a bad thing, but in reality, when you do eventually get it, you're going to be pretty happy. So Blizzard's doing something very well with raids. And world quests are basically dailies on steroids. They took a very mundane, boring part of the game that was very much a necessity at max level, and they kind of made it interesting. They made it fun. The whole threat of the Legion is stitched throughout those world quests. You constantly feel and sense that presence and that threat. And the world quests, what makes them really good is the fact that they offer some very good rewards, whether it's gold, artifact power, class order hall resources, a piece of gear that is actually useful. Plenty good rewards that makes you want to do those quests. As far as the new and improved PvP in Legion, I'm going to give it an incomplete. I have been very hesitant about making this video because I don't want to start ragging on Legion. I happen to think overall it's a very, very good X-Pack, probably the best X-Pack since Wrath of the Lich King, arguably as good as Wrath of the Lich King, and just overall PvP feels like a work in progress. Now the good news is Blizzard is more attentive to tweaking things and fixing things than they've ever been in the past on the PvP side of the game. That's a very, very good thing. I applaud the idea of normalized gear in PvP. That's something that I feel is a very, very necessary step for World of Warcraft PvP. Matter of fact, back in MoP, I made a video, I think it was top 10 or top 12 different things that you could do to help the gearing process and fix PvP. And one of the things that I said was normalized gear. But this faction imbalance thing is really, really throwing things to one side, to the point that it's good players and average players versus target dummies. It's not quite there yet, but it's getting there. And that, when you have it uncompetitive, is really, really bad. And here's why. Whether it's skirmishes or battlegrounds, that's someone's first taste of PvP, basically. A new guy just doesn't jump into arena most of the time. A new guy, whether it's a new player or somebody who's been into raiding and suddenly wants to try PvP, he just doesn't jump into arena. He basically dabbles in battlegrounds and maybe skirmishes, and if you're playing Horde, you're going to wait 8 to 10 minutes, maybe longer, to get into a battleground. If you're playing Alliance, it's going to get to the point where you're like, this sucks. I suck. And it's not that the player sucks. Let me give you guys an analogy. Picture a basketball game, 5v5. Now, If you're getting double or triple teamed, the reality is that one or two other players are open on a court. That's the way it works. In WoW PvP, if you're getting double or triple teamed, what's usually the case, either A, you're an idiot and you're running into bad situations, or two, your team is dying. Your team is dead. I mean, it's like a basketball game, 5v5, and all of a sudden you got the ball, your team has the ball, and 4 players on the other team just die of a heart attack. So it's 5v1. What are the chances of you scoring a basket? How is this competitive? This is what's going on in Battlegrounds and PvP, and it's not good for the game, people. It is not good for the game. You know, Blizzard is making a concerted effort to fix WoW PvP. And the reason they want to fix it is because they want to move to esports. Overwatch, geared for esports. HOTS, geared for esports. World of Warcraft, a lot of work to do, but believe me, they want their flag game to be esports. Blizzard is a publicly traded company under the auspices of Activision. And when it comes to publicly traded companies, they're not happy with a little bit of money. You did a good job. Thanks for making a little bit of money. No, they want you to make a lot of money. China-sized money. They want you to make China-sized money, and after you do it in the first quarter, guess what? They want you to double it and do it again in the second quarter. That's the way it works. And there's very low expenditures in esports, huge advertising dollars in esports, and it has a special way of promoting itself on Twitch with tournaments, etc., and Blizzard wants to get into that. That's where the money is. Now, granted, a ton of things in World of Warcraft have to change to get there, and it's going to be a slow process, but I do believe that that's the direction Blizzard wants to go in. Matter of fact, coming up in BlizzCon, there's going to be a special section at BlizzCon with reference to esports. That has to do with all the Blizzard games with reference to esports. Blizzard bought MLG, Major League Gaming, which was an esport basically arena, so to speak. It was an esport company that was fledgling and not doing well, but Blizzard bought them because they don't want to work in someone else's league. They want to start their own league, and they got the right business idea. And having this kind of faction imbalance is certainly not going to move you in that direction. It's a huge problem. Now, I know a lot of people might perceive this to be a negative video, and I certainly don't want that to be the case. I like to think of this as some analytical thinking and some critical analysis of things for the good. And let me give you guys an example. Let's say your best friend's going out on a date. He's going out on a first date with a girl he met a few days ago, and he's really psyched to meet her. He's very, very excited, and he knows she's excited about meeting him. And it's all good vibes, all good vibes. And you happen to go to his place, and you know, when you go on a job interview or a first date, you know, it's good to have an objective view. Am I wearing good clothes? Do they match? Am I in style? Is my hair good? Am I well groomed? Are my clothes ironed? Over and over and over again, different questions. You want to look your best. You want to make a good first impression. So your friend says, well, how do I look? And all of a sudden you catch this stench from his mouth. And it's kind of a mix between wet dog hair and a dead rat in the attic, and it's really bad, like it could kill a small child. And you're like, oh my God, he's got terrible breath. Now, as a good friend, are you going to tell him about his terrible breath, or are you going to let him go on that first date? And that's how I feel about Legion, and that's how I feel about the changes in PvP. I feel that this can be fixed, and I feel that it can be really good. So I'm hoping and intend this to be constructive criticism, and let me know your thoughts. This is Luxley saying, whatever it is by you, morning, afternoon, or night, make it great. Luxley out.